Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1186. 86. I am a high school graduate of 1986. 86. What a year that was. The greatest love of all is happening to me. Whitney Houston, that song was our graduation song. But I digress. It's Mike Matthews. Welcome to the Digress Show. I mean, it's called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Broadcasting or podcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Today we hear from
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley, and it looks like it's Friday. Yay! Incidentally, and that means tomorrow you can hear me on the country internet radio station called Country Crossroads. I'm bald, and I have 2 big scratches on my head because I walked into a tree branch this week.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So yeah, catch it, countrycrossroadsradio.com. I'll be on that tomorrow and Sunday afternoon.
Mike's
if all goes well.
Daily.
It's not just country though.
Podcast.
It's bluegrass. Ooh.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Americana. And a little bit of old stuff, new stuff. It's quite a mishmash you won't hear on corporate. I mean, this is so far removed from corporate. It's basically what I do here on the podcast, where I'm not getting paid for anything. The guy that runs that, who is probably half my age, if not more, he runs this radio station. He's technically savvy beyond all get out. He's doing it from Georgia. He's got it on an AM Georgia radio signal. It is insane what he has done. And I worked with another guy on another internet radio station, only this was in Connecticut. This guy was my age. He could not figure out his bleep at all. He had so many problems doing his internet radio station, which was kind of a what was it, like a pop. It was like rock, kind of like an adult contemporary. Like we played a lot of rock, and well, I guess we were playing that fight song sung by Rachel Platten. But he did not have his together at all. Oh my gosh. And then finally I stopped sending him stuff, and he's like, well, and all of his correspondences were over Facebook message, which that tells you something when someone is just talking to you completely through Facebook message, that they're a little kid in a grown man's body. Ew. What was that? Somebody just walked in. Ew.
Ah!
Ew.
Ah!
Michael Matthew, why are you doing that? It was just a bad experience. But the country Crossroads experience is wonderful. countrycrossroadsradio.com.
That's wonderful. Michael Matthew, country music is the heart and soul of me.
It is?
Yes, Michael Matthew, if I could, I would be Reba McEntire.
You would?
Yes, she's beautiful and spunky on her television show. It makes me laugh so much. Oh.
Madame Rootabega, you're wonderful. You've been around a long time. You're immortal. We love you. Oh, look, who else just walked in?
Hello there, Mike. It's Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, I really like how Donald Trump interrupted Hillary all those times,
Yeah, over 50 times. Do you know that?
Yeah, he constantly interrupted her. And you notice the interrupting technique he did was the most annoying of interrupting techniques, where you repeat the same repeat the same word, repeat the same word, repeat the same word. And if you dissect the audio, each time he said whatever word it was that he was repeating over and over again, he said it like exactly the same. It's as if he's a human sample machine. You know those samplers that back in the 80s we would sample stuff and do the pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume, dance, dance. You know, it'd be like just like that. So he is a human sampler machine, and if we have him as president, oh, it's going to be repetitive, redundant. But we'll see, right? It's that, we have an interesting story on today's show called Well, it's in the segment Ain't That Grand, because it's something that's grand. This is not grand, however. Montreal has banned pit bulls because they are scared people. Now I'm never going to Montreal. That's too bad, Montreal, because I was looking forward to visiting you, but now I can take you off my list. That's another place I don't have to find a dog sitter for Basil the Boxer, because I will not go to this place, and neither will Basil. Even though he's not a pit bull anyway, he would not be banned. He's a boxer, which they often get confused with pit bulls. You can find out more about that in my song called Walking My Boxer, which can be found on my website, mikesdailypodcast.com, in the section called Cubbyhole, Cassette Cubbyhole. I have songs down at the bottom of the page, and one of the songs I did about 5 years ago is called Walking My Boxer. People think he's a pit bull. And you know what? I have learned since writing that song that pit bulls are cool dogs, and they are also called American Staffordshire Terriers. And people who are afraid of them are people that watch way too much news and get all they do is cower on their couch in their living room with their shades drawn, sitting in their soiled bath robes. But I may be wrong. No, I know that it is paranoia, and that they have succumbed to the paranoia in Montreal saddens me. Nearly 3 months after a brutal dog attack that claimed the life of a Montreal woman, the city has passed its contentious pit bull ban. Now, pit bulls can be deadly, deadly dogs. There's no question. But it has to do with the owner, and it does not have to do with all pit bulls. It has to do with the owner that messes up the dog's head, leaves him in the backyard chained, beats the dog, whatever, gets him into a ferocious state. I talked to a friend of mine, by the way. It really irritated me. He brought this up. He goes, "You ever been to a dog fight?" He's this old guy. And I'm like, oh, come on. You've got to be kidding me. Don't tell me you went to a dog fight. But I guess maybe he, years and years ago, somehow he lived in the backwards part of the South and all that. So maybe that was some backwards, I don't know, maybe it wasn't the backwards part of the South. Maybe it was the backwards part of California. There's backwards parts everywhere. So the city council voted, there's backwards part of Montreal, apparently. The city council voted on Tuesday in favor of changes to its animal control bylaw that includes a ban on new ownership of pit bull and pit bull type dogs. Well, that includes you, Basil the Boxer, so I know I'm angry about it too. The final vote was 37-23 in favor of the ban. Dennis Coderre said, "My duty as mayor of Montreal," because they have that weird French accent in Montreal, "is making sure I am working for all Montrealers, and I am there to make sure they feel safe and that they are safe."
Michael Marshall, what accent was that?
Montreal accent.
Okay.
No, it was, because I watched the Anthony Bourdain Montreal edition of The Layover, a show I love on Netflix. Ding! There'd be a ding sound effect right now. This is the closest thing I have. I have a turkey sound effect. The bylaw vote was supposed to take place Monday, but was pushed to Tuesday due to a busy agenda. The city announced that the new rules, including the ban on new ownership of pit bull or pit bull type dogs, will go into effect across 19 Montreal boroughs starting next week. Members of Opposition Project Montreal questioned whether the Coderre administration would be able to enforce the new rule. Supporters argue the new regulations give priority to human safety over dog safety, and that pit bull bans in other jurisdictions decrease the number of severe dog bites. Let's see. The city has originally intended to update its legislative... Well, it's just bad, and I know Cesar Millan would be upset, but... Anyway, I do not have a picture today on the podcast picture of Basil the Boxer. You'll have to go to yesterday's for that. The last podcast picture, but today's podcast second picture.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I'm sure something Montreal has no problem with. Rain. We don't have much of it for, well, the past 4 or 5, 6 months. We didn't have rain. Now we're going to get some apparently over the weekend. We're all excited about it. And this is a picture of me, Fairmont Ridge, where I often take Basil the Boxer. And there was right after the rains of last year. It was so green. So maybe we'll get some rain. That's right in between Podcastro Valley and San Leandro, Fairmont Ridge. What a wonderful place. You can take your dog off leash. And I welcome all pit bull haters, people that are fear-mongered into hating pit bulls. You need to go there and meet all the wonderful, friendly pit bulls that will make you happy and bring you happiness. Because that's what they were intended to do, not to kill people. That's crazy. So, see that picture at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. You can also go there to help support the show. The Amazon link there. Click on that and buy whatever it is you were going to buy on Amazon. Maybe a nice dog collar or whatever it was you were going to buy. Go there, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com, through the Amazon link, and you help us out. There's also a PayPal if you'd like to help to support the show. You'll get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters. And if you want, Valentino will interrupt you.
I like interrupting women, D.
You know, I love all the stuff, all the women that are coming out in support of Trump, and in the process dissing Hillary, and bringing up Bill Clinton, and bringing up his sexcapades, and bringing up this and that about him. All the things they say about Clinton could totally be against Trump, but that's the hypocrisy that you see in politics, and especially with the right. You can see all that at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com, past podcast pictures, and the wonderful past interviews that I've done with some interesting indie artists, country artists. Back in the 90s, I interviewed a lot of country artists. And I hope you enjoyed that little cymbal that I was playing, the cymbals that kind of sounded like cymbals in a drum set. No? Ain't life grand.
Ain't life grand.
This is grand. This makes life grand. Move over, freak shakes. The new king of Instagram is coffee in a cone. I do not even want to know what a freak shake is, but Google that if you want. Invented by a cafe in LA, the phenomenon of coffee served inside of a chocolate-lined ice cream cone has taken the world by storm. But the trend didn't become widespread until a shop in South Africa began posting their creations to Instagram. The treat has since blown up to epic proportions, with many snappers using the hashtag coffee in a cone. By the way, hashtag Mike's Daily Podcast. It's out there now. And we've been hashtagged. At Johannesburg's The Grind Coffee Company, owner David Levingrad dreamed up the concoction but quickly learned that regular ice cream cone plus coffee equals leaky disaster. What a surprise there. In order to bring his idea to life, the coffee joint began creating their own cones, using 4 layers of chocolate to reinforce the seal and keep them from leaking. Wow, that is a great selling point. Yes, we are able to contain the coffee with 6 layers of chocolate.
Michael Master, I want one now.
Well, let's go to Johannesburg. Much like the other viral sensation, this is much like the bacon chocolate shot glass. Google that if you would like. Even these perfected cones don't have a very long shelf life. Once the hot coffee is poured into the cone, Levingrad estimates you've only got about 3 minutes to drink it before the chocolate melts. See, and that wouldn't work for me. I am a slow drinker. With booze, with coffee, with everything. My coffee goes cold regularly. You know that Joe Jackson song, Staring? Is she really going out? Staring at the girls with watch my coffee go cold. It goes cold all the time. And I find my body is adjusted. Other versions have popped up around the world, and some even resemble actual shot glasses. That is going on in the cultural world is we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Dang. I was so looking forward to Montreal and their maple syrup, but whatever. I'll go to somewhere else in Canada. Next show, it is going to be Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. Do me a favor. Don't interrupt women. Don't interrupt anybody. It is so rude. And I know this personally so well. I have one of these voices, believe it or not, that when I'm in a conversation with Sarah, I cannot pierce the audio wall that people have. Even if I go into my radio voice, I really can't pierce. I don't have one of those voices. It's weird. I'm somewhere in the... if I'm in a crowded room, like... Well, I just was in cafe anyway with all those voices. Now we're outside and it's very nice. But I cannot be heard. And I know the power of being interrupted over and over and over again. And I remember my ex-wife had a friend who would constantly interrupt me. And I would be there and we'd be having a conversation, my ex-wife, her friend, and I could not get a word in edgewise. Oh!